Hi again, everyone. Well, it's December, and December always reminds us Beatle fans of the tragic death of John Lennon and the Double Fantasy album that started to go up on the charts in the aftermath of his departure. But I wanted to talk about an album today that I haven't talked about yet. And it's an album that came out in 2010. So this is a 15-year anniversary. And it was a reissue of John and Yoko's Double Fantasy album. And I have the CD here. It's called Double Fantasy Stripped Down. And that's a picture done by Sean Ono Lennon for the cover. Nice looking sketch there. And on the back, we have the back cover. This had the remastering of the original 1980 Double Fantasy album in it. But what makes it interesting the most is the stripped down version. Now, when this first came out 15 years ago, I didn't pay it too much mind. I played it. I was disappointed at the time. At the time, I thought it wasn't really right without John's approval to do this. Sometimes you have your head in a certain place, and then as time moves on, you change your tune. Well, I've changed my tune about this. I played this again on a car ride, and I loved it, the stripped down version. Before I talk about it, I'm just going to show you the inside here. It opens up like that, and got some pictures in here. And show you what the CDs look like. First and foremost, this is the stripped down version of Double Fantasy. And I believe is the second one. I didn't really play the second disc this time, so now we have a different kind of artwork. This is the Double Fantasy album itself, remastered, but stripped down. What an experience it was. It just drove home something that I always believed about the Double Fantasy album from when I first heard it as an 18-year-old, way back in 1980. Double Fantasy, the way it was produced, the musicians on it sounded very modern in 1980, very modern, crisp, clean sound. And now hearing it on the stripped down version, I think even more so. That's the first thing that came to me. The first thing that I feel when I listen to stripped down Double Fantasy is how new it sounds. It sounds, even after all this time, being 45 years old, the material, it just feels like it's a new John Lennon phase, a new album, just a whole new glorious, open, expanded production. I just love the sound of it all. So modern for the time and even today. And John's voice, of course, is up front, which is wonderful about this. John's voice has never been more crisp and clear. We have the John and Yoko songs on here, and we have Just Like Starting Over, which is a beautiful version, nice and clean and up front with John and present. And it goes on longer and longer at the end, which is nice. Kiss, 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 Yoko has always been a fun song for me. I love the version here. Cleanup Time. I think I prefer this version now, Cleanup Time, here on the stripped down version. And there's a little bit more in there. It says, the beginning, bubble, bubble, toil and no trouble. It says at the beginning, which I kind of like that little beginning. And it's something about cleanup time. I don't remember the exact lyric. I heard it the once, cleanup time. Take a trip around the world. I don't think that's what it is. I really, whatever it was, there's a little something added to it. But make a circle around the world or something. Give Me Something is the Yoko song that I also love. I think Yoko's songs on Double Fantasy to begin with are among the best she's ever done on this. Give Me Something is really cool, and I'm Losing You is really, really intense on this version. Now, the Yoko song that follows I'm Losing You, which is called I'm Moving On, believe it or not, I'm Moving On could be my favorite song on the album. It's certainly my favorite Yoko song on the album, may even be my favorite song. I just love that whole bit where John sings I'm Losing You, and then Yoko comes back saying I'm moving on. And I want to just take a moment here to say, for all those people out there that always think that John and Yoko constantly tried to pretend that their marriage was perfect and that they were like the couple for the ages, the Romeo and Juliet of the 20th century, bull crap, okay? Because the song, just like Starting Over, talks about how John says, it's been too long since we took the time. Let's go away. Let's do things like we used to do. It'll be just like Starting Over. That's not a perfect, ideal marriage 24/7. And I'm losing you. It shows you that John is thinking about, he's losing contact with, can't get through to her, but in general, I think feels like he's losing her. And then Yoko responds with, I'm moving on. We're getting phony. So the thing is, let's not, Fred Seaman loved to perpetuate this bull that John and Yoko were always pretending to be a perfect couple. They also made it clear in their interviews during 1980 that you have to be careful of a relationship. You have to treat it like a plant. You have to water it, nurture it, keep the flies off, John said. So this thing about them trying to act like they're the perfect, ideal couple is a lot of bull. Anyway, off on that tangent. And of course, Watching the Wheels is phenomenal, always has been. Yoko's song, Yes, I'm Your Angel, sounds great here too. John Lennon's Woman. I don't know, I think I may prefer Woman, the released version on Double Fantasy, but it's still nice here. Beautiful Boys is kind of, I always liked that song by Yoko, but it's kind of similar to me here from the original Double Fantasy. Dear Yoko, it's good by John. I always thought Dear Yoko was John's weakest song on the album, but I can't tell if I like this version better or not. They're all good here. The stripped down versions, they give it such clarity, but I think, and they're a little different too. And it's not just the audio clarity here. That's the main draw, but we're also getting different things that we can hear, and different sometimes audio ways of singing the song. Then we go to the one disappointment I have here. Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him. It's a totally different version, much slower arrangement. I like the more upbeat version that was released on Double Fantasy. However, the one here that's slow and emotional is also almost like reciting, like John and Yoko together as a couple, as a pair, reciting almost like poetry together. It's still a pretty version, but I prefer the more poppy one from the released album. I would say that's my least favorite track on this stripped down version, is Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him. But you can plainly hear on John's recitation, if you will, John's recitation, his rendering of the material, that's the audio the same as on the single that came out, I think, in 1984. They tried to put out a new John Lennon single, I think it was in 84, of Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him, by isolating John's vocal from this and making it into a John Lennon song, which I thought was a beautiful single, but you can tell how it comes from here. And finally, Hard Times Are Over. I always find Hard Times Are Over very tear-inducing because they're so sadly naive and wrong. They thought Hard Times were over for a while, as they closed the album, and Hard Times were just about to start, because 3 weeks after Double Fantasy was released, tragically, John Lennon was murdered. So I think about approximately 3 weeks. But yeah, the version here, you get to hear John more prominent on here than the version that has both of them on the original too, but Yoko maybe a little more. Here, I think you could hear John a lot more, and there's different passages and spoken passages where John sounds like a preacher, hallelujah kind of thing. But yeah, this is really a great reawakening for me. I really had a great time with Double Fantasy stripped down. It doesn't replace the original Double Fantasy album, but this is a nice companion to it, and I'm so happy to have it. Thank you, everybody, for watching.